Let's get ourselves comfy or have like something around 2 hours of talking about monitoring and Zabbix and well, in this case, more specifically, Windows monitoring. So as you can see, like on your screens already, hopefully you can. Topic of today's, as you probably already know, is advanced Windows monitoring with a Zabbix open source monitoring tool. Microphones, as it usually goes for the webinars, are muted. If you have some sort of the questions that you want me to answer, feel free to ask them in a Q&A chat, question and answers, not in the regular chat. If you just want to talk and discuss all sort of different things, then the best place is going to be the chat itself. And as I already mentioned, like duration is 2 hours. I'm not sure if we're going to take all 2 hours, but we're going to go slowly without any rush. I'm going to try to share as much as I can, my experience and knowledge about Windows monitoring. And first of all, I usually start webinars like that of like giving a brief introduction of who I'm actually am to sit here and tell you something about a Windows monitoring. I guess most of you have seen me already. If you're familiar with a Zabbix and if you have searched something about Zabbix, how you can do XYZ, probably have found my videos, at least one of them from the YouTube. I've created a YouTube channel like 7 years ago, and at this time we have around 150 tutorial videos about all sort of different things inside of Zabbix. Happens to be that I also worked in Zabbix company in headquarters in Riga for close to 9 years. I started as a support engineer, quickly also became a trainer, technical consultant, traveled around the world, did also different turnkey setups for all sort of different niche companies and then businesses and so on. Windows monitoring included, of course, then later transitioned to head of the customer support and the head of the product to build Zabbix Cloud together with my team. So that's that, and that brings us to advanced Windows monitoring, right? Um, Let me click here. So, Windows Server. Basically, what are we going to be talking about today is all sort of different monitoring options, how you can monitor your Windows servers, or maybe not necessarily the server, but maybe just a Windows machine. Primarily, we're going to be focusing on the Agent 2, not the Agent 1. And if you question yourself, like, what's the difference? Well, then in very simple language, like Zabbix has two agent types. We call it like Agent 1 and Agent 2. The one is like a vanilla agent written in C, very lightweight. It works on a Windows, it works on a Linux. And the second one is Agent 2, which was released something like 5 years ago, I guess. And that one is written in a Go. It can monitor like same stuff as Agent 1 can. It's also lightweight. It's also like easy to install, easy to set up. It also can work on Windows and on a Linux, but I guess the main benefit is that you can create a custom plugins for the Agent 2, meaning that you can extend monitoring with your Agent 2 setup, and meaning that there's also a lot of community resources and community plugins built specifically for the Agent 2. And also, Zabbix is a company, if they're creating some new templates, like if they want to provide a monitoring for you in without a lot of user friction so that you don't need to install some sort of custom scripts and then struggle with dependencies and make sure that they're supported across different versions and so on. It's much easier also for the company to just create a native plugin for the Agent 2 then do it on the other monitoring types, as example, the Agent 1. We're also going to touch and cover like what should you monitor. There's all sort of different things that can be monitored both on the servers and just on the computers. I'm also going to try to show you like as much as practical examples as possible. And this time we're gonna try to be brave. As I said, we're gonna be talking about Agent 2 quite a lot, and I do have my Zabbix installed here. So I have my front end. That one is already available, but I had a plan that, okay, let's install the Agent 2 on this existing Windows machine where I am running this webinar during the webinar. So we're going to try to do live installation. And as you probably know, like usually all of those live demonstrations during the presentations tend to fail with some cryptic and mystic errors and issues. So hopefully, this time everything is going to be fine. Um, agenda, basically, like in the long run, out of the box Windows items and templates, like what we can monitor out of the box with our agent, as example, the Windows registry, performance counters. I do have quite a bit of experience running with the performance counters, and hopefully, we'll be able to share you also some tips and tricks and the most common issues that are happening with those. Also, a little bit about the scripts like Windows services and applications, Active Directory, DHCP, DNS, Microsoft SQL, Exchange Server, and more. Like all of those monitoring types and things that we are monitoring so much depend from our use case. And it not necessarily has to be something very complicated. Like as I said, like it's not necessarily needs to be around the Windows servers. Like if we're running some sort of office and most of our employees are working on the Windows machine, then why not just install the Windows agent on all of those regular Windows 10 or Windows 11 machines and just monitor the basic stuff like the availability, resource usage, disk space, maybe availability and the status of like Windows Defender, just to make sure that there are no threats found and everything is updated. Not going to take a lot of resources from you and still is going to give you a meaningful information about what is happening in the environment. So, um, if we talk about out of the box templates, there's actually quite many of them. And for operating system, there is like Windows by Zabbix Agent, Windows by Zabbix Agent Active, Windows by SNMP. This has always been there. I myself, like in 9 years in a Zabbix itself, and a bit more years in let's say community and monitoring and everything around Zabbix monitoring. Have never seen any person who would be monitoring Windows over SNMP. Like you can do that, but I think that's firstly for the network stuff. Secondary, sometimes you can find it on a Linux machines. Windows, you can do that. Never saw that myself. Agentless monitoring, like if you don't have a luxury of being able to actually install anything on the servers itself, Microsoft application templates like Microsoft SQL by ODBC, Microsoft SQL by Zabbix Agent 2, Exchange Server, Microsoft Web Engine Server, so IIS, and SharePoint Server, and the tested versions like Windows 10 and newer, and Windows Server 2016 and newer. Like if we talk about the templates themselves, let me try to make this. No, come on here. There we go. As example, if we go to data collection templates and here search for Windows, these are like the first three templates that we have mentioned here, and here they're also available. So SNMP, like as I said, it's not very commonly used. It has 15 items. It's gonna have a limitation of what you can actually monitor from the Windows through the SNMP. 7 triggers, some low level discovery rules. But I guess the most common ones that people mostly use are the Zabbix agent, and there's also like Zabbix Agent Active. So if you don't know what's the difference is basically in the type of communication. Like each of these is processed differently by the Zabbix server itself, and Also, if we talk about like performance, Zabbix Agent Active is going to be more beneficial for your Zabbix server, but mostly we think about the communication type because if we talk about Windows by Zabbix Agent, meaning that these checks are going to be passive in terms of Zabbix and a passive check, so passive Zabbix Agent basically means that a Zabbix server is going to be connecting to the agent. So agent needs to accept incoming connections from the Zabbix server and poll for the data. In other way around, like with a Zabbix agent active, means that the agent is the one who is initiating communication and connecting to the server. First of all, requesting all of the configuration, like what do I need to monitor, and then collecting the data and sending it back to the Zabbix server. Like both of these monitor same items, like 33 to 34. And if we'll go here, like we can see a lot of the CPU stuff, memory, number of processes, used memory, uptime. It's going to be same stuff here for the active. So it's just mainly a decision on a communication. Like specifically, if we're trying to monitor some Windows devices on the premise of our customers, and maybe the Zabbix server itself is located at our office, and we definitely don't want to put this load on our customer just to make sure that they would need to whitelist all of these communications in the firewalls and accept some sort of incoming connections to their environment. That usually creates a lot of the questions and concerns. So it's much better to run active agent when the agents are connecting to the server. If still you are required to do the passive checks for some reason, some constraints, just to make your life easier and make sure that you don't need to whitelist like either all connections to everything from your Zabbix server or each agent individually, it would be much more recommended to install Zabbix proxy in a customer environment and then just whitelist the firewall connection from Zabbix server to the proxy. And then proxy will be able to monitor all of the Windows agents and other stuff in the customer environment itself. And if we talk about like, let's say, MSSQL as example, also here is MSSQL by ODBC and by Zabbix Agent 2. So ODBC is specific protocol which doesn't require installation of agent, not agent 1 and not agent 2 as well. This is basically used to monitor the data inside your Microsoft SQL. And same ODBC monitoring types can also be used for like MySQL or PostgreSQL or MariaDB and yeah, Oracle SQL example as well. So with that, you will be able to monitor some data inside the templates, inside the tables, but not so much the database performance and availability as an engine. But you can do that with Zabbix Agent 2 as example. You can collect the performance data of your database, and also that includes some abilities for you to create some customized items that will be able to run some queries inside the database so that you can also poll um, for some data, right? And so on. Like each of these templates is comes out of the box. Each of these templates has a lot of different items that are already pre-configured to collect the data from your host. And they also have some triggers, some low-level discovery rules. So kind of those are ready to use templates for you to apply them to your Windows host or to your service monitoring and start collecting the data. Windows by Zabbix agents, what you are monitoring specifically is like availability, performance, security, and inventory on your Windows machines. I guess like first three probably are the most important in terms of availability. We're just checking whether or not our Windows server is working, where it's not working. So basically just collecting either 0 or 1, so up and down. If we talk about a performance, then of course we are collecting such data as CPU utilization, memory utilization, free disk space, all the basic stuff. And also we are um, able to monitor the performance of each service that is running specifically on our Windows server. Security, I myself, like I do remember just like yesterday that something like I think it was also like 5 years ago. I just from having nothing to do in the evening created a Windows Defender template through WMI, which is the Windows specific interface to monitor and request the data about the Windows stuff. So created a template about a defender that basically monitors and notifies you whenever some protection is disabled, or maybe the last scan was like a month ago or something like that. So potentially user have like disabled automatic scans, and gives you a lot of transparency, because having being aware of all of this these things is like sounds sort of easy whenever you have like 5 maybe 10 computers that you need to care about, but whenever we have like hundreds or even thousands of different servers, obviously just with the human resources of just running around our office and checking everything, it's not possible. So it's good to have some sort of monitoring system that is able to collect all this data for us. And if we talk about the options of monitoring those 1,000 servers, again, we get to the other question like, okay, if we don't have a Zabbix monitoring at all, and maybe we decided that that's what we want to start out. And we have those 1,000 servers. So how do we actually deploy 1,000 agents, right, on our Windows servers? And this usually is not limited to like Windows itself. Maybe we have like 1,000 Windows servers and 1,000 Linux servers, and obviously we don't want to give anyone a task of just running around and running 2,000 separate individual installations. So if we talk about the installation, there are multiple ways how you can do that. Of course, there is like Docker containers available. You can have a zip package so that you just extract the agent. Since like 3 or something years, there's also MSI package available so that you can get to your more Windows-like experience of just clicking next, 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 finish. And if we talk about the scale deployment, then we can use like the group policy or SCCM or Ansible or any other tools that basically allow us through the command line deploy the Windows installation. And like here is the command example where we provide all the required parameters that we need to pass to our Zabbix agent to function properly. As example, like here, server with IP address 10.1.1.165 is for the passive checks to function. So this parameter specifies that agent will accept connection from this IP address, meaning that behind this IP address we have our Zabbix server or maybe Zabbix proxy. Server active, kind of same thing, but for active checks. So it's going to be again server or the proxy IP address to which agent will connect itself. TLS connect PS key, accept PS key, meaning that these two also mean that we will going to use encryption in the communication between the Zabbix agent and our Zabbix server and proxy. And encryption is not going to be certificate based, it's going to be the PS key based, so that we need to specify the PS key identity, which is going to be some sort of the string, and generate the PS key value, which you will also need to provide into Zabbix frontend. Let me actually show you. Oh, here. So if we go to the host, Zabbix server encryption, like if you specify PS key, then you usually want to disable connection from host to not allow unencrypted communication. And here you need to provide PS key identity and PS key itself. And these settings must match specifically for each individual host that you are monitoring. So PS key identity is going to be Win Webinar, and PS key value is going to be this key, right? That needs to match directly. And I guess this is the time when we become brave and try to install Zabbix Agent 2 on my machine, and hopefully everything is going to be working. I'm going to try the regular MSI package to get it up and running. Let me make this a little bit bigger. So to do that, the first thing first is obviously, I think everyone should already understand that you should not be looking for Zabbix Agent installable files or something in some different forums where whatever is saying that, hey, this agent is going to give you twice performance of the official Zabbix. That's too risky. So what we're looking for is the official website of the Zabbix.com. Then the big green get Zabbix button, which is essentially getting us to download page. And we're looking for, no, actually, we're looking for Zabbix agents. Windows, then we choose the operating system version, Windows 11, Windows 10, hardware, AMD. I do have AMD, yes. Zabbix version, and with the agent, it's important that agents are backwards compatible. Like we're talking here about the 7.4, considering that 7.4 is the latest version, but I myself have my demo installation. Like this setup is actually Zabbix 7.0, so we can check it here. We'll check Zabbix server as example. It is 7.0.22, meaning that I need to install Zabbix agent of at least the version 7.0. Installing 7.4 and everything like newer than our Zabbix server version is it's possible that it would work. It's not official, it's not documented, and it's too risky that there would be some unexpected behavior. But everything below the version that we're running is fully supported. So agents are backwards compatible, meaning if I'm running Zabbix 7.0, I could also easily install like 6.0 agent and it would function perfectly fine. This restriction or bonus or look at it however you want is like probably not so important for the time when we're installing the agents, because obviously whenever we're installing something we want to have like the latest and greatest, right? And if I have my Zabbix of version 7.0, why would I download something in an older version? But it comes very handy every time we need to run the upgrades. So again, getting back to the use case, if we have those 1,000 Windows servers, 1,000 Linux servers, and some of them are sometimes offline and sometimes online, and we have Zabbix and time have passed, and let's say Zabbix 8.0 LTS came out, and one beautiful day we decided to upgrade our Zabbix to 8.0, so we are not required to rush and upgrade also our 2000 agents. Like they are going to continue to function perfectly fine, even if they're going to be the version 7.0, and we will upgrade our Zabbix server and proxies and everything else to 8.0. So we're going to keep this to 7.0 LTS. Encryption, like depending, if you don't even plan to use an encryption at all with your Zabbix agent, then just choose no encryption. It's gonna not gonna have OpenSSL in it. But if again after 6 months or something, your manager comes and says that, hey, we need to configure encryption, that's going to cause some problems, right? Because you're going to need to reinstall the agent on all of your hosts with OpenSSL support. So maybe better to have it already available right from the start. And then you choose like how you want to receive it, either MSI or archive. Archive meaning that you're just going to need to copy paste the archive to all of the hosts where you need to install the Zabbix agent, extract it, and with a command line utility, just install it, providing all the required parameters. We're going to go with MSI. Zabbix agent, here is the agent 1 written in a C language, and here is the Zabbix agent 2. So I'm going to click download here. This downloaded. Let me move this a bit away. And I'm opening MSI. And I'm moving it back here. So welcome to the Zabbix Agent 2, 64-bit setup wizard. So next, our journey is basically going to be just next, 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 finish. We're going to need just to enter a couple of parameters. So next, yeah, sure, all of the license agreement, accept, uh, click next. Custom setup. So where do you actually want to install it? So C program file, Zabbix Agent 2 is going to be perfectly fine for the sake of this demo. So click next again. Then we need to provide the host name. Host name is going to be ignored if we use the passive checks only. Like if you use the passive checks, meaning that the Zabbix server is connecting to your agent, you don't really need a host name. It might appear as a value in some items that you will be collecting. Host name is mandatory in case if you are using active checks. And how it works, like again in the front end, let's say I've created, let's create Windows host. Host always needs to have a host groups. So let's create a new one, Windows servers. There we go. Interfaces, agent, IP address of my Windows machine is going to be 168. Don't remember. Let me actually check here. So this one is 56106. Then this one is going to be 561. Monitored by the server directly. Click add. Yeah, so and every time when we're creating a new item, we need to choose like either Zabbix Agent or Zabbix Agent Active. If we choose Zabbix Agent, all good. Everything's fine. It's going to work. If we choose the Zabbix Agent Active, then the host name of our host name here, which is Windows host right now, needs to match the actual host name in our Zabbix agent, which is also a separate configuration parameter in the agent configuration file. So again, keep that in mind. Zabbix server IP or DNS server. So as I said, it's 192.168.56.6 for my Zabbix server. We saw it here. There we go. And server or proxy for active checks, that's gonna always gonna be basically the same. Port 10050, default port of the Zabbix agent. Enable PS key, like I don't want to have an encryption. Add agent location to the path. I think that's also safe to not add it for the demo. So next install. This should not take more than a couple of seconds, hopefully. Can get a sip of water.